Germanic tribes stood as one of Rome's most formidable adversaries. Though the Roman Empire conquered vast swaths of the known world, Germania, with its dense forests, harsh terrain, and fiercely independent tribes, posed a challenge unlike any other. The story of Germanic resistance against Rome is one of resilience, tactical brilliance, and a steadfast refusal to bow before an empire that sought to dominate them. Chapter 1: Early Encounters and the Dawn of Conflict. The first significant Roman attempts to subdue the Germanic tribes began as early as 58 BCE during Julius Caesar's campaigns in Gaul. Caesar's expansion into the northern regions of Europe brought him into direct contact with the Germanic peoples, but it wasn't until the reign of Augustus that Rome truly began to consider Germania a priority for conquest. The Roman campaigns under Julius Caesar. Caesar's crossing of the Rhine. In 55 BCE, Julius Caesar crossed the Rhine River to intimidate and subjugate the Germanic tribes on the empire's northern frontier. While the Romans successfully crossed and built a bridge, Caesar's campaigns did not result in lasting conquest. Instead, they revealed the fierce independence of the Germanic tribes. Ceaseless resistance. The Germanic tribes, including the Suebi, Ariovistus, and others, resisted Roman attempts to control their lands. Despite being outnumbered, they harried Roman forces with guerrilla tactics, making it difficult for Caesar to establish lasting control. Chapter 2: Teutoburg Forest and the Turning Point. The most devastating blow to Roman ambitions in Germania came in 9 CE at the Battle of Teutoburg Forest. A carefully planned ambush by Arminius, a former Roman auxiliary officer, destroyed 3 Roman legions, marking a watershed moment in Roman-Germanic relations. Arminius's cunning strategy. Tactical genius. Arminius, a Cherusite chieftain, used his knowledge of Roman military tactics and his understanding of the forest terrain to lead a coalition of Germanic tribes against the Roman forces. The battle took place in the dense Teutoburg Forest, where Roman legions, accustomed to open-field battles, found themselves trapped and overwhelmed. The use of terrain. The Germans used the forest's natural obstacles to their advantage, attacking in waves, ambushing the Romans at key choke points, and taking advantage of the Romans' inability to maneuver. Roman discipline, which had been their greatest strength, became a disadvantage in the forests of Germania. The aftermath. The loss of the 3 legions, including their standards, the Eagles, was a catastrophic blow to Rome. The psychological impact of the defeat reverberated throughout the empire. Emperor Augustus, devastated by the loss, was reported to have cried out in anguish, "Quintilius Varus, give me back my legions." Rome's ambitions to expand into Germania came to an abrupt halt. The Rhine River became the empire's northern frontier, and Augustus abandoned any plans of further Roman conquest beyond that boundary. Chapter 3: Guerrilla Warfare and the Roman Response. After Teutoburg, Roman commanders focused on defending their borders and rebuilding their forces. However, the Germanic tribes did not relent. They continued their resistance, adapting Roman tactics and employing guerrilla warfare to harass Roman garrisons and military outposts. Germanic raids and Roman strain. Ambushes and hit-and-run tactics. The Germanic tribes excelled in hit-and-run tactics, using their knowledge of the dense forests and marshes to stage ambushes against Roman patrols, supply lines, and fortifications. Roman soldiers stationed in the frontier often faced the constant threat of attack and ambush. Roman fortifications. To counter these tactics, Rome constructed a series of fortifications along the Rhine and Danube, such as watchtowers and military camps, to protect against invasions and raids. Yet, these fortifications were often undermanned and vulnerable to surprise attacks from the Germanic forces. The Roman military adaptation. Defensive tactics. The Romans shifted from expansion to defense, employing mobile forces to patrol and secure the borders. Roman commanders also adapted their strategies to address the elusive guerrilla tactics of the Germanic tribes. However, despite these adaptations, the Germans proved to be adept in using the terrain to evade Roman retaliation. Chapter 4: The Marcomannic Wars and the Germanic Resurgence. By the 2nd century CE, a new wave of Germanic resistance arose in the form of the Marcomanni and other tribes under the leadership of Boileaumar. The Marcomannic Wars, 166 to 180 CE, were marked by large-scale invasions of Roman territory, stretching from the Danube to Italy. Roman response under Marcus Aurelius. Emperor Marcus Aurelius faced one of the most challenging periods of his reign. The Marcomannic Wars forced Rome to deal with a powerful coalition of Germanic tribes, who breached Roman defenses and threatened the very heart of the empire. Roman fortifications and military strategy. Marcus Aurelius strengthened Roman defenses along the Danube and implemented a series of counteroffensives. Despite suffering heavy casualties, Rome was able to repel the invaders and secure the frontier. The persistence of Germanic resilience. Unified resistance. The Germanic tribes had learned to unite against the Roman Empire, organizing large coalitions and coordinating their invasions. Their ability to strike simultaneously across different fronts tested the limits of Roman military power. Psychological and material damage. Even though the Romans eventually repelled the invaders, the wars severely drained Rome's resources and exposed the weaknesses in its frontier defense system. Chapter 5: The Migration Period and the Fall of Rome. As the Roman Empire weakened internally, the pressure from the Germanic tribes intensified. The migration period, circa 300 to 700 CE, saw massive movements of Germanic peoples into Roman territory, displacing entire populations and contributing to the fall of the Western Roman Empire. The Visigoths and the sack of Rome. Alaric's Visigoths. After years of fighting against the Roman Empire, the Visigoths, led by Alaric, sacked Rome in 410 CE. Alaric, once a Roman ally, had been denied land for his people and decided to take matters into his own hands. The sack of Rome symbolized the end of Rome's dominance in the Western Mediterranean. The Vandals and the fall of North Africa. Vandal conquest. The Vandals, another Germanic tribe, seized Roman North Africa in the 430 CE, disrupting Rome's grain supply and weakening its economic foundation. In 455 CE, the Vandals sacked Rome once more, delivering another blow to the already crumbling empire. Odoacer and the end of the Roman Empire. The fall of the Western Roman Empire. In 476 CE, Odoacer, a Germanic chieftain, deposed the last Roman emperor in the West, Romulus Augustulus. This event marked the official end of the Western Roman Empire, though the Eastern Roman Empire or Byzantine Empire would continue for nearly another 1,000 years. Chapter 6: The Legacy of Germanic Resistance. Though the Germanic tribes never fully conquered Rome, their continuous resistance reshaped Europe's political and cultural landscape. Chapter 7: The Cultural Legacy of Germanic Resistance. While the Germanic tribes were primarily known for their military resistance against the Roman Empire, their cultural impact on Europe was equally significant. As they conquered Roman lands and established their own kingdoms, the Germanic tribes absorbed, adapted, and transformed Roman culture, creating a lasting legacy that would shape the Middle Ages and beyond. The adoption of Christianity. One of the most significant ways the Germanic tribes integrated into the post-Roman world was through the spread of Christianity. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, many Germanic kings converted to Christianity, primarily due to the influence of the Roman Church. Clovis and the Franks. The conversion of Clovis, king of the Franks, to Christianity in 496 CE was a pivotal moment. By aligning himself with the Christian Church, Clovis secured the loyalty of the Roman population in Gaul and established the Franks as a major European power. The role of the Church. Christianity became a unifying force across the Germanic kingdoms. The Church, once a pillar of Roman civilization, provided continuity in the absence of Roman political structures. As a result, Germanic rulers adopted Christian practices and Roman legal codes, merging them with their own traditions. Roman law and governance. Even though the Germanic tribes were often depicted as barbarian invaders, they adopted and adapted much of Roman governance, particularly Roman law. Many Germanic rulers, including those of the Visigoths and Franks, relied heavily on Roman legal principles. The Visigothic Code. The Visigoths, under King Euric, codified Roman law into their own legal system. The Visigothic Code reflected Roman legal traditions but also included Germanic customs. Frankish kingdoms and Roman administration. The Franks, after Clovis's conversion, adopted many Roman administrative practices. Frankish kings used Roman-style bureaucracy to maintain control over their vast territories, incorporating Roman roads, aqueducts, and cities into their own system of governance. The foundations of feudalism. Roman imperial systems of land ownership and tribute influenced the later development of feudalism in medieval Europe. Though the Roman Empire had relied on centralized control, the Germanic tribes, due to their decentralized tribal structure, eventually shifted toward feudalism, a system based on personal loyalty, land ownership, and decentralized governance. Land and loyalty. In feudal systems, land was granted in exchange for military service. This mirrored Roman practices in which land ownership and military service were intertwined, but the Germanic emphasis on kinship and personal loyalty helped shape feudal structures that would dominate Europe for centuries. Germanic warrior culture. The idea of loyalty to a chieftain or king, integral to Germanic tribal society, became the basis for the medieval knightly code of conduct. As Germanic kings established their kingdoms, they relied on a hierarchy of nobles who held land in exchange for service, laying the foundation for feudal society. Chapter 8. The Germanic Kingdoms and Roman Infrastructure. As the Germanic tribes settled in the territories once controlled by Rome, they came into direct contact with the remnants of Roman infrastructure, which they inherited and sometimes improved upon. Roman roads, cities, and fortifications continued to be crucial to the functioning of the Germanic kingdoms. Adapting Roman roads and cities. The Germanic kingdoms, particularly the Franks and Visigoths, inherited the Roman road network and used it to consolidate their control over newly conquered territories. Roman-built roads, initially constructed for the movement of Roman legions, were now used by Germanic armies to extend their reach.